why we have to talk about it today because now I'm curious.
Uh, I oh uh, hell yeah!
Let's go.
There's so much stuff. Hell
Okay.
Oh man,
yeah!
I was muted. I man, I didn't even undeafen on stream. It's okay, but
Uh,
we're there. We're there. Hello everyone.
like,
Welcome back to XCOM. It's another
eh,
episode of the On Cooldown podcast. Today is a special episode. We have 3 people on today. Wow. 3?
wow.
Wow.
Wait, 3?
Well, total.
3.
Wow. Which
Oh,
one of
okay.
us isn't a which one of
I
us
was
isn't
like,
a
who's? I
which
was
one
like,
of us
who's
isn't a
the
person,
third
Bunny?
person?
Which
was
one
like,
of us
who's the
isn't a
third
person?
person?
Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
don't know, man. No, I mean you said 3 people, like as if 3 guests, and I'm like, Jesus, wait, me, Min, and who else? Jesus? Like, leave room for Jesus? That's the third person?
Yeah, praise his name. Oh my god. Dude, that's my favorite League of Legends pro, dude. Jesus Christ.
I know
Bro.
he's the
What do you-
duo
what do you- what do you-
partner that will never let you down.
Dude, you know, like he's got water walking, you know what I'm saying? He's got
Hell
water.
yeah.
Oh my
Float in the river.
Oh my god, River Shen. River Shen.
Anyway, we're off to a great start, everyone. Anyways, for those joining us today, hi, welcome once again. Welcome to the On Cooldown podcast. I'm the host, one of the many voices of XCOM shoutcasting. It's me, the one on the left, the orange boy, VTuber sometimes. I'm Neon. Hope you're all doing well. Joining me today, brand new guests, but maybe you've seen them around the community, especially when it's around the league timing, league tournaments and whatnot, league content. So, let's start off with this guy in the middle, this person. I heart
Hello.
symbols. I wonder what that could be.
Well, hello everyone. I am Ming. I'm the president of XCOM VTuber tournaments. I host tournaments to bridge VTuber communities together and connect people who share their love in the same games. And I just love seeing people have fun and smile in my tourneys. I also love watching pro play, mostly League of Legends, and I love Fnatic. Anyway,
Dang, he
Wait,
loves
for real?
Fnatic.
I love Fnatic.
Like unironically?
Unironically.
damn.
And unfortunately, that's what.
Here's the thing: you can't really choose who you fan. Sometimes the heart follows who it wants to, and
That's a crazy statement, buddy. You know, I mean, he was like he didn't choose to be a Fnatic fan. He was born to be like Fnatic.
exactly.
Fnatic might have
It's
not
like
even
in
been
your heart.
and that wasn't even founded yet. And but universe knew this person was gonna
Yeah.
be a Fnatic fan. He knew.
Yeah, sometimes it's like it tickles all the right boxes, and then you're just like, yeah, I guess this is my circus. These are the clowns I support now.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's fair, but at least you know your clown, your circus is an
Exact-
ongoing show. So congrats to you, handshake, respectfully.
Thank you.
You know,
I appreciate that. At least my organization still exists. Anyway, moving on.
We can get
Oh.
into this. I brought this up on previous episodes. Bunny knows.
Hello, darkness, my old
Shut up! I'm just
friend.
kidding. We can talk about my favorite org. That whatever. It doesn't matter. It matters later. But anyways, that's the person in the middle. It's technically my boss. Whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, he pays me in slices of bread. Yes, and then now for our other wonderful guest, who are you? Person on our right.
Hi, I'm Tsukino Bunny. You can call me Bunny or Tsukino or Bunny. It doesn't matter at this point. But I really love League esports, but specifically the LCK. I very much, it is my very specific topic of interest.
That's fair. That's
Yes.
fair. I
So,
I also just find. Oh, so go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, so we're uh we're right there. So like, being an LCK fan, we're our steak is too juicy, and our lobster is too buttery.
I
But
know.
like like what can I say, man?
F off. F off. F off. God damn. You know what? This is
uh
what happens, man. It's like all the NA players, all the old guards left, and now everyone's just no one cares about NA, and they're like, I'm gonna go watch LCK, and I'm over here like one of the sole NA fans left. Although I'm not a very big and adamant NA fan, I'm an NA fan at the end of the day. So my steak is burnt. My lobster is not even a lobster.
yeah.
It's
It's
imitation
Well,
like,
crab.
yeah. Is
well, good news is
unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with the LTA, North and South. I heard that's getting, you know,
Yeah, we're returning back to the LCS, baby.
it got retconned
yes,
again.
exactly.
Okay,
Let's
we're
LCS
like,
go. We're
I
back.
2026.
guess.
We're back, baby. We're back.
Okay, so the LTA North, LTA South has become the LCS again. So does that mean uh old teams are coming back, or does that mean even less teams are back?
That
So
that
that's actually the first thing that I want to talk about today. The like the like ecosystem, like pro ecosystem this year, like how they divided
Oh.
the regions differently this year. It's
Oh.
it's so different from last year, by the way. You
Oh
said
god.
yeah, the L like first of all, let's talk about the LTA. We all remember like the LCS, so many years, so many memories, and then
Mm,
abruptly from 2024 to 25, they merged it with the
mhm.
CB Law, basically. CB Law is the Brazilian league. They merged
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
into the
Mhm.
LTA, and we have North and South. Um, and it's kind of the biggest region in the world, like number of team wise, with 16 teams, but it's kind of divided into two different
were we the biggest
regions.
Oh,
region? Didn't
wow.
Basically,
China have 20 at
China
one
has
point?
16 teams this year.
I was like,
This year,
didn't I was like they had 20 at a point, right? Like 5 years ago.
I recall they only had 17 at max. No,
I don't remember. It was a lot of
yeah,
goddamn teams. 16 felt like maybe 16, and I thought it was big because other regions only had like 10 or 12. Maybe that's what it is. Okay.
yeah, but we will talk about China later. But basically, LTA is the biggest region number of team wise. But that also raised some issues as well, like if it's the biggest region, why it only has these number of seats and so on in these international tournaments. Um, so, like, Bunny, you only heard about the LTA, right? You didn't really
Yeah.
get updated about the LTA, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I only really know the okay, so the only things that I really know about the LTA is that Whippo
Uh-huh. Go
and
on. Go on.
Masu, and Masu for like good reasons, and then I do, and Dokla, and that's it.
oh yes, big dogs,
Yeah,
yes.
so yeah, big jokes. Um very, it was really funny cuz he did, how he did like daily like affirmation videos or something like that. While he was at Worlds, and it finally came to an end, as the NA airport
Mm-hmm.
came to a close. Nah, man, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like for a few consecutive days, I would open Twitter, and the first thing that would read me was "Ni hao, it's Dokla" or something. Like his videos are so funny. Um, but yeah, Big Dogs is on 100 Thieves, and that's one of the two NA teams that went to Worlds this year. Why
yeah.
two? because LTA region has 3 seats, and they let number one of NA and number one of Brazil have direct slots, and then the last seat is just
Oh,
contested by number two and three of North and South NA and Brazil. So that's why.
Imagine being a region with 16 teams and still only getting 3 slots because we suck, bro. God damn.
it's not that at this point. It's kind of like it's not that they don't have like it's not. I feel bad because a lot of the teams, uh, for the most part, they get their slots based on like how much money it get like the league produces, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like the sad fact that like all of these companies are what's driving the team decisions, like org decisions.
Mhm.
So like it's really hard to stay true to like what fans want, which is, more League of Legends. I feel like the fan mindset for a lot of people is like challengers, when Zendaya is like I just want good tennis, and she's like gaslight gatekeep girl bossing her way into like watching better tennis, right? And that's kind of like how I feel like league fans like mentality is kind of at this point, right? It's like I just want some good fucking league.
Oh yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just cuz what's it called? The other thing about like the region thing, and we'll get back to your point, buddy. Um it is just like the reason why I say like we have 16 teams, we're the biggest region, but then we don't have results to show for it. And like you said, we only have technically one slot for North, one slot for Brazil, and then they fight out for the third seed. Freaking China and Korea has had a fourth seed for like how many years now? Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just saying that as a Western fan. Europe is fine.
But
Yeah.
You know, they're a small, they're their niche region. Vietnam has two, don't they? And Vietnam has almost as many slots as we do. Come on.
I think it is pretty interesting because like you have to remember like the esports culture is very different between regions. Like in LCK and like the LPL kind of for like a while. Like being an esports player was kind of like seen as like especially LoL esports,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Is kind of like seen as like a good thing,
Yeah.
like if you
You're
go
a
to,
celebrity, bro.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's like a path. Literally, it's now like, especially in Korea, it's like a legitimate pathway and a legitimate career option outside of college, right? So, like, people take League esports very seriously in the LCK. Like, they genuinely like will scrim like they like 40 games, like just like solo queue games, like daily, just
Yeah.
grinding shit out, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of and like a lot of players also like don't drink or smoke. Like especially like the newer players, right? Because they're like, well, I'm really focused on league. I want to make it big, right? I want to be the next faker. Like it's kind of like that. The LPL was for the most part for the LPL there was a lot of like fan service, right? There's a lot of like interactions with fans, like a lot of merch and stuff like that, right? So like being an esports player there too, there's like prestige, it.
Yeah.
And then when you look at like, but meanwhile, if you look at like North America, like you're like it's kind of seen as like a little bit of
it's still a very
like
niche
saying
thing. Yeah, it's very like
yeah,
content creator esque. It's like you can
yeah,
only
it's
really do it
very
if you're
much
very
like
good
saying
at
that
it.
you're an Instagram model or like saying that like you're like a TikTok celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Mm-hmm.
much like a job that's not seen as like oh, this is like a very like well like perceived job, right? Because it's kind of crazy, like in Korea, like there's like Faker made the national news. Like he was on KBS, like they made an article about him,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like specifically they were like, yeah, he is known as like the like it's like like China killer or something like that, because he like knocks out like so many like Chinese
Right,
teams.
right, right.
And that's kind of like the story, right? Like you don't get that newscast from like any other region, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So there's just
Yeah.
right, right,
yeah.
right.
But so yeah, it's like so I get like frustrations from like fans, especially if you think from like the past, because basically like esports originated in North America, right? It kind of like was like like
Well,
the
I wouldn't say
like
esports is specifically. I think it's because
no
league started.
league
League started
yeah,
it,
Yeah.
right?
I
League of Legends.
specifically league esports started in the
Yeah, yeah.
West, right? Like, and there were a lot of like teams that were like, especially in the earlier seasons, right? It was a lot more like international. But then again, like it's essentially the entire industry kind of runs like a gambling center, right? Where you just pool a bunch of money together and just hope that you win the grand prize, right? So if you just can't get that, like it's very hard because you need like sustained income outside of just the big leagues, right? And like other teams, especially in other regions, they can actually get that, right? They get like there's basically like memberships. It's basically like Patreons for like the teams, like they have that.
Right, right, right.
So it like the culture is different, right? Because like in the West you don't think of like supporting your team like with actual money, like donations on the monthly, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Or like
It's not like I'm gonna show up to a gym and be playing with like I can throw $5 at LeBron James and be like, "Hey,
yeah.
do a layup."
Yeah, you don't yeah, you don't yeah.
Yeah.
Like exactly. So like, you know, I just and like I think also like one thing that I realized
Mm.
after talking to LEC fans is how national a lot of orgs are. Like I kind of like I think that kind of like reshaped a lot of how I view like the LEC fans as a whole, because like I always thought like they were super toxic. You know, like to the point where I genuinely felt sometimes like fearful for the person that was receiving threats, right? Because
Right,
they
right,
were
right,
just
right.
very personal and vicious and just honestly feels it kind of is extreme. But then I realized like recently,
That's just
like
a European
these
thing.
are kind of like yeah, but like also these teams are kind of like like a small size like Olympics, because like, you know, it's like very much like one country is the representation of that team,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So
yeah.
if you go against them, like but you live in like in said country, like you kind of have to stay with the org rather than shifting with the players.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and it's
Uh
also connect a lot to the European football culture
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say that.
foot,
Yeah.
mhm.
football and esports, especially League of Legends, are very connected. We have football teams that have specific League of Legends team in their organization. We have fans from football clubs that use football chants in the esports stadium, and they bring that football spirit into esports. And that has like two sides of it. It can be sometimes toxic, as you said. It can also sometimes be very hype because it's like the football hype that they bring from the big stadiums in. So it has two sides of it. But yeah, it is very nationalistic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a
I
Which
sense.
can, you know, become an issue because I don't know. I remember there was this one, like, I think it was like a regional, like a minor LEC league team that like started joshing each other. But like at some point, a lot of the insults became like targeted towards like the race and the country of the orgs. So it was like, at what point can you be like, hey, like it's just like taking pride in like my country versus like thinking that my country is inherently better than your country, and like this League of Legends match determines that, like my belief in that.
Well, yeah, I mean that goes with like any
Like,
form of competitive scene, though, right? Like Min said it, like the football, soccer, that's the same reason how South America
yeah.
works with all of their esports, Brazil, Argentina, and what was the other one? What's Leviathan
Spain.
from? Um, there's one other country. There's like it's like their football clubs and their esports, similar to Europe, is very competitive in that
Mm,
sense, where it's like my country is better than your country, but then it's hard, like you said, it's hard to tell on who takes it too far. But then that's also in this case of this human nature of being separating sport versus normal superiority complex. So
yeah.
that's its own issue in itself. But I get what you
Yeah.
mean, though, when it comes to like that country and regional pride, bringing it into esports, from because it's like when it comes to, like I said, that's like the European South America thing. But when it comes to NA, right, we are
Mm,
so separated, not just by region, but also because not every region has a successful traditional sports um sports team, or not just traditional sports teams, but successful traditional sports teams, right? That so
mm.
many fan bases are not really willing to budge on that, and if they do, they're really just following a certain superstar. Unlike, oh yeah, this is my favorite player, even though they don't play for my favorite team. So there's
Mm,
like the brand loyalty versus player loyalty when it comes to North American traditional sports. But then when it comes
mm.
to the greater aspect, right? If you take an NA player, uh, NA team or whatever in esports, it's like NA fans typically will root for NA regardless, but at least that's how it used to be.
Oh yeah.
Recently, not so much,
Yeah.
because it's always
Oh
it's
really?
I don't think so much, because it's like everyone is like, oh yeah, LCK, LPL, they're gonna win, whatever. It's like we've been in the scene for so long that it's like rinse and repeat the script, right? It's like, yeah, whatever. We'll maybe have
I
one
mean,
team get it out of
I feel
groups or
like
Swiss.
here's the thing,
So
every region has their flop girl era. You know?
I mean,
Like
we've all
even if
yeah.
you look at if you look at like all like the history of like the leagues, like they all have a period where they kind of sucked, or they were in like a plateau, or they're kind of in a decline, right? And I think the most important thing during these times, like especially if you care about like your region, is
Mm.
to just not like abandon them, you know?
No,
It's
yeah,
like
no, I
it's like
know.
that
That's
feeling of like it's like you hold the umbrella up. It's like just because I like stop doesn't mean I stopped caring. Like
right, right, right,
like
right. No,
exactly.
but that's just like the
Like
overwhelming sentiment, though. It's like I want to support my team, but it's just like,
yeah.
or support my region. That's just how I feel. It's like I want NA to win, but then I'm just like, dang it! It's like that you like it's as a region that doesn't win often. It's like
Mm,
we obviously we take the small wins, we take the small dubs. It's like a year ago,
exactly.
2 years ago, be like, oh yeah, Europe didn't make it out, we're better. But then it's like we can't talk trash about any other team, which is really sad, because it's like I
Well,
want
this
them to
year,
win.
That
This
is
year, now,
this
true.
yeah, now we're the
world,
But
team, we're
like
the region that doesn't make it out. But
yeah.
well,
the
by
point
what?
that I was making for that, in the greater scheme of things, is that because esports is traditionally different, and we don't have as much following in the western, more like NA specifically, is that when it comes to these international events, NA doesn't have as much of that backing and supporting as other regions do. That's why we have the smallest player base number wise, just not esports, just in general. And I'm just like, esports is definitely, I wouldn't say dying, but it's definitely past its peak, at least in the NA region, because we don't treat it like
Yeah.
traditional sports, unlike these
I
other regions.
I would say
Yeah.
it is better right now than 2 or 3 years ago, though, because like last year we see like
I
last year and
think
the
it's
beginning
getting
of this
better.
year,
Mm.
yeah, last year and the beginning of this year we see the rise of FlyQuest, who could actually rival like draws some Eastern teams, Korean teams, Chinese team to game five, and actually put up a fight, and they actually play good League of Legends and surpass Europe.
Right, right, right,
And in
right.
this world, we have 100 Thieves who made the biggest shell shock in the first round of Swiss stage, which is they are the third seed of NA and they beat the number one seed of China.
Yeah. No. I'm not saying the
And
esports itself is bad. I'm just saying the
yeah.
fan support
Oh.
isn't good. Is all I'm
Let's
So
saying.
go
big.
see
Yeah.
night.
That's it's like exactly. It's like we have teams that can do well. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the esports themselves. I'm just talking about the
Mm.
player the
But
fans support. The fan base itself is just not there
but
internationally.
Yeah.
That's all.
because
We don't have our own regional teams,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're all backed by corporations, right?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
be a
yeah.
like like at this point in esports, we're really just following the players,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
there is actually one exception in LTA North. Well, LCS next year though. There's one
Hmm.
exception, which is Disguise. Disguise is
Oh,
Disguise Toast
right.
team,
Yes.
and
Right.
But
it's
that's
not
people
that.
following the coach. That's
Yeah,
like a casual situation,
Yeah.
right? Where
yeah.
That's
Well,
they're
a
going
still a
to
good
understood.
have that
situation.
fan backing. It's like just like kind of like they're kind of more funded, similar to like how other esports teams in the LCK are being funded, and like through fan support, right?
Right,
That
right.
like they're able to get that sustained funding. So I think they, for the meantime, will be able to work out
Right.
compared to other teams that have to really rely on sponsors. Like
Yeah,
apparent like if I remember correctly, like Toast is literally doing like spending money on the team because he wants to.
Yeah,
Like
because
not because it's
he's
like a profitable thing. It's like
of course.
just kind of like in it for
Yeah,
the love
because
of the
unless
game.
you're backed by corporate, you're losing money as an esport. That's just
Yeah.
yeah.
unless you're a Chinese or rich Chinese or rich Korean brand, you will almost always be losing running an esports brand in the West. Almost always, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But then, okay, so
So,
here's my other counterpoint to the fan thing and like success,
mhm.
right? So it's like like you said, disguised. Um, I think another reason why fans don't have as much support for NA because personally, again, I think NA's past this fan peak. That's why they're trying to bring in
Mhm.
new players with their
Mm.
WASD gameplay, whatever. That's weird. That's a different issue. Um,
Oh, yeah.
is be links back to the other performance thing I brought at the beginning, where NA doesn't necessarily do good. NA doesn't have that. Didn't back in the old days, or more so in the old days, sorry, and less more now, that NA doesn't have a consistent performing team. Our one team is now FlyQuest, right? And occasionally, recently, 100 Thieves now going to be sold off to Sentinels. So they'll bring the Valorant fan
Mhm.
base over. But
Mhm.
it's like but in the years before that, there wasn't like a unified banner that there was like a majority that NA could support. There'd be like, oh, there was TSM, but I feel like a lot of people chanted TSM for the memes. Cloud9 was the one
But
team
that
that was
was
under the
still
banner that was good.
yeah.
People didn't cheer on for CLG internationally
Team
other than CLG. But
Liquid.
yeah, Liquid was the one. I think Liquid was the one where I think people started unifying under an NA banner, and then the team
Yeah.
disbanded. Because after that,
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely when the drop off happened, in my opinion. And then people didn't want to support FlyQuest because it was the end of the big four. There was no TSM, no CLG, no C9. Liquid got disbanded. And then
Yeah.
everyone's like, why do I want to
Liquid
support
is still here, by
FlyQuest?
the way.
Because
It's the
FlyQuest doesn't have the history.
shittiest, right? Where it's like if the boat is reconstructed, made entirely out of new wood, is it
Right.
still the
Is it
same ship? Right?
exactly?
That's how a lot of like LCS fans are kind of right now, where they're like everything about the org or like about the league that I loved and grew up with is not
It's
there.
not that.
Right?
Yes,
For
exactly. That's
LCK,
me.
LPL, right? Every like team and every org, like they're not all there, but like the core teams are still alive. Where
Exactly.
compared to the LCS, where they were kind of like slowly died off, and it wasn't really in a good. If I remember correctly, like I think there were pretty bad scandals towards the end for a couple orgs.
Mhm.
Uh, so like it wasn't even like a dignified end. It was like a oh, this is bad.
Yeah, yeah. And that's
right?
why exactly. Go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
like their legacy gets tarnished at the end, right? And then now you're in this situation where it's like, how do we bring this back, right? Let's try to make this a regional thing. I know, let's pit the like
North versus
continents against each
yes.
other, right? Like
Exactly. You get it. You get
it's
it.
so hard to find regions that would want to play with each other, like that they were like, yes, let's make this a global thing. Like, forget regions, we're gonna pit entire continents against each other. And it's like, I that's a really ambitious thing. I'll give you that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like doing a large scale thing like that. But my issue was the fact that they downsized the teams. Like, so many fans were losing a lot of, again, the core teams, which is what Riot was just not like thinking about. I don't understand, like that's the one thing I don't understand about the LTA, and like why I think it kind of fizzled out and like was
And
poorly received, was just because they were like, yeah, and we have to cut a bunch of teams, but don't worry, it's gonna be like a continent thing, right? If they just
Yeah,
made
yeah,
it
yeah.
like this big tournament, right? Where every team was still alive and they could compete with each other, I think that would have been so much more hype than just, what do you mean all of these players are getting axed for no reason? You know?
Yeah,
and
I agree. I
and
agree.
I want to talk about like not just the effect of the LTA merge on the NA, but also the Brazilians. So Brazil originally, I remember, had 10 teams, and they
Mm,
had to reduce to 6 teams for the LTA
yeah.
South. But so here's the thing: Brazil before this year had no way to have a guaranteed world slot. Like last year, they Pain Gaming was doing excellent in the play-in, and that's why they got in.
Hmm.
This change in the LTA guaranteed Brazil a slot to Worlds, but compared like when the Brazilians put on the scale between having a guaranteed slot to Worlds and having the 10 teams cut down to 6, they still prefer to have no guaranteed slot and have 10 teams,
Hmm.
because it's like a tribal things for the Brazilians. They're not different nationalities, but they are groups like tribes that support different teams based on
Yeah,
which like
it's
their
like it's
region
also
suit look
kind of
up.
like a regional thing.
Yeah.
I feel like,
S-
right?
Mm-hmm.
So um like when it got trimmed down to the LTA, like a lot of Brazilian people oppose it. A lot of Brazilian fans oppose it, even though they have the guaranteed world slot out of this change. Um
Again, it feels like it's like, okay, I think what, like, it genuinely feels like maybe it was due to funds, like lack of funds, like they couldn't like feasibly think of a way to like host like the teams.
that's
I
actually
just feel
the
like
reason, yeah.
that was like that was such a it's such a mismanagement uh of like just on the wider directorial stage, because again, think about how the audience would take that, right? It's like, I'm cutting the like half the cast
Right.
of like but but I'll give you this free ticket, right? For for the future, right? In like a turbo tough competition where like like, how are you going to recover this new league and then also be expected to perform on an international scale? I think it's just such an unfair ask to give to any pro league team. Like,
Yeah.
Agree.
like, so that's like, I'm glad they brought it back, they reverted it. It just feels like such a sad, like, like mishandled opportunity
Oh, absolutely.
for things.
Absolutely. I like
And
you go ahead.
yeah, and the actual, I think it was mentioned somewhere before that one of the actual reasons why they did this was to cut down the number of teams across the world so that Riot will have enough, like, can use their fund to support a fewer number of teams, but support them more than supporting a larger number of teams, but have less funds for each team. I think that was one of the main line of reasoning, but I am not
That's
too sure. It was a while ago.
yeah, and again, that just feels like a again, like a misunderstanding of what like league esports, like why what made league esports profitable in the first place, you know?
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
it is the fan culture. Like um it is how like it is people like giving money, you know, like people call like, you know, it is people say like they're customers, they're consumers, right? But like fans give money and fans are like essentially the lifeblood of teams, right? And like lifeblood of the game by extension, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so having this billion-dollar company just kind of squeeze out everything because it genuinely feels like if you look at these decisions, like the decisions that that they made, right? It was to cut cost and save money for for w- like for what?
Yeah, yeah. It's like you said, like the whole point of esports. I wouldn't say the whole point, but esports as as a medium, like you said, is based off the fans of the game. Like it's like, and then the entire move of that reorg and all of that cutting of the teams was like a big middle finger to all the fans, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because like even for
It's
me,
like
someone who didn't
it's like
watch the pro
yeah.
scene that much, I'm just like, that sounds stupid. It's like well, come on, bro. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
It's like I cut your favorite teddy bear in half, but don't worry, I'll give you a coupon that makes you, you know, that a free plane ticket. Uh, and you're just like, okay, but like, why'd you do that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Why?
like
What?
I didn't want the plane ticket. Just give me my goddamn
Yeah,
teddy bear.
like
Um,
let me enjoy the team that that essentially, you know, again, this is like I think the longer things run, the more legacy it has, right? Like to and like especially like it's just like I think people think like clout, right? People call it clout nowadays, right?
mm,
And keep like
no.
it's so short term, right? So they try to get like that instant like boost of attention, right? But like if you look at how like orgs are like run or how like these long running orgs, it's genuinely because like there is a culture of like going to games, like supporting players, right? Like when you again like the like football comparison. So it's weird because again, right, the purpose of esports like competitions is kind of again like a gamble, right? You just want that big prize at the end.
Right.
Um so it's kind of hard to have that two mix together. And I
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
Riot just kind of was like looking at things from like a okay, but like what about our bottom line?
Mhm. Yeah, that's just like how it was. So again, this is all like my opinion, right? Because obviously, when
Mhm,
esports boomed, specifically like in 2000, like 16, right? Like or 15 or
mhm,
14, I would say would probably be when it started, and then 16, 17, 18, I think is like the biggest peaks. Um, for all of esports, not just League. I would say that people started treating esports because it got so much traction and so much funding into it. They started treating it like traditional sports, and then they took away from that fan base aspect of it, right? And then they was like, okay, once all the corporate money fell out, which obviously just happened a lot throughout like NA especially,
yeah.
um they're like we have to they try to figure something out, but instead of going back to their grassroots approach, they still try to go with a corporate approach, which in led to the big middle finger effing
Yeah.
you effing us as fans, because it's like if you look over, like you said, it's just a cultural difference, right? Because Riot's technically an international company, right? Because I don't know how they would treat they try to treat regions differently. And it just didn't work out for NA. Whereas if you look at the infrastructure, like, Brazil's been getting bigger and bigger over the past couple of years. Probably one of the biggest player based regions actually. And versus like the LPL, LCK, where they actually had the infrastructure continuously from prior esports. You know what I mean? So that wasn't even just fan based, that was just societal driven. So it's like they didn't get a foothold in NA steady enough to get that foundation outside of the fan base. They gave up the foundation of the fans to go corporate, and then now they're trying to backtrack, and it's in shambles. That's how I'm seeing it as the bigger picture, and I'm just like, oh, Riot, it's over. It's already over for NA infrastructurally. Yeah. And I'm like, at this point,
it's like
I just hope
like
if
the toxic ex trying to bring it back. Like, please, I changed. I did the work.
Right.
I self-reflected. I'm ready for stable. I'm ready for like this stable relationship again. Right? I'm sorry I threw it all away. But like, please, like, take me back. And it's just a hard ask, and I totally understand like Western fans when they're like, I don't like esports, like I don't like league esports currently, and I prefer it in a different era. But that's like genuinely because if you look at it from the NA perspective, it does kind of suck, right? You do feel left behind.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, okay, go ahead, man.
And I think if they really want to like revert from the corporate way to back to the fan base way, they need some kind of project like a bit similar to what Kaido and Los Ratones did in EU, which really helped a lot with the EU like league scene. I think like at least that region. Like they found the drive again. They motivated the fan again in EU because of their project, and it was not corporate at all. And I think they kind of need something not necessarily similar to that, but like something different like that if they want to bring back the fan culture and bring back the old LCS, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it depends who you ask because, like I said, brand recognition is so important in NA or esports in general. Outside of like sponsored brands, Red Bull, State Farm, whatever, right? Like that's besides the point. But I think for NA is, it's a bigger problem. I think it has to be like a multi-year plan. There's no 1 year, 1 way, 1 year, 2 year plan to fix this immediately. I think they got to figure it out. Do I know the answer? No. Because it's like, if you try to get brand recognition, and they tried doing that. We had like the Golden Guardians, which was sponsored by freaking the Golden State Warriors. And then one other team that was sponsored by like was it the Dallas Mavericks or something? NRG was sponsored by like Shaq. You know what I mean? Like they were big things.
I remember, I think what happened, it was just the fact that like none of the fans carried over.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Right? That's because that's exactly right.
Truly, because like
traditional sports fans don't want to go to the esports. It's like why just because my org has another team doesn't mean I'm going to watch it. Esports, you can get away with that. Traditional sports, it's a little bit harder outside of maybe like EU.
Yeah, and I do feel like if it maybe kept on going, there might have been like if like say like during like the like if there was like a tie-in event or something like that, maybe it would have worked, right? But like that again, that requires investment and like faith.
Yeah.
Right? And like they don't have that faith in their franchise. And they don't want to take risks essentially, because at the end of the day, right, it is a risky choice to like, it is a very bold and risky choice, but it's like, I feel like you kind of have to like go all or nothing at this point. You can't keep half-assing like these like small like conservative like decisions. It feels like, like when they did the LTA, it was like, that's a really ambitious thing, and they're like, yeah, but we're cutting like production by 50%, and it's like, no, I feel like you totally should have like invested all of that. If you're making such a drastic change, you have to like you should really go for it. Like you should really support it 100%.
Yeah,
Instead of just kind of being like, okay, well, like we'll like save a little bit of funds like just in case it fails. And it's like, okay, but it fails because you only did take a half step.
hmm
Yeah.
I think the other approach is like they're not gauging again for NA. They're not gauging the fans or gauging the system based off like fan uh criteria or how they would influence, because obviously like we said it's fans are the bloodline, right?
Mhm.
But if we, as an example outside of league, I feel like another big failure in esports would have example, and I'll be quick about this because we'll go back to league, is Overwatch League, where they dumped the traditional esports orgs where people would have watched them for the orgs, and then dumped them trying to play for like cities or countries. And I'm like, no one wanted to support them because no one from the region understood why that was their team. It's like no one was playing actual from
Yeah.
Paris. No one other than maybe like the Chinese team and like one of the Korean teams or the
Mhm.
Korean team. No one from like New York, London, Dallas was supporting the actual Dallas teams, New York teams. You know what I mean? It would have been more
Yeah.
successful if you had the traditional esports brands because they carried over.
Unironically,
So, but yeah,
I
go back
think
to the.
like the LC like LTA teams, like LCS teams, if they really want, right, to keep like to like gain traction, they should just get like a really good social media manager and really just push hard this like the the NA like hey like LCS narrative. Like LCS, there are cool things about the LCS. Like there are like really cool players. Like there are new talents that are coming in, right? Like there is a professional esports essentially. Because right now, like I don't think I've seen much from the LTA
Yeah.
aside from like their broadcasts.
No, I agree. It's
Uh,
like the old school. You need that one trash talker before it was, who is it? Joju Pun and Danny. It was like EG when EG was number one like 3 years ago. I'm like, oh, this is a good branded team. They know what they're talking about. They're good. They can
yeah,
back up their trash talk. Now no one's doing it, and now it's just like it's a boring ass region.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
a
I get you
good
though.
example is the KT, uh, the Nongshim, social media
Okay.
page is very, very is a very great brand. Like when you look at the account, like they really pull into this marketing of like we're a raccoon. We're just the noodle boys. You know, we're the noodle lads, right? We're just a little raccoon trying our best, right? And they really they highlight players like these moments for players cuz these a lot of like player streams, right? They stream and then they'll take like clips, right? And uh like take moments from that, right? Or push to really push these players as individuals, like past like them as just like part of the team, right? They're like, oh, these are players with their own charm, right? Their own like, let's just really like, please support us, not only because we're like the org, right? Not because of our name, but because we have these players that we really care about and like really are like invested in, you know? There it's not enough to just like get scrims every day. It's like and like you gotta also do that extra step as an org.
Right,
And I
right, right.
think that's the reason why it's been working in Europe. Europe teams are not like no, not just for the gameplay, but also for the content. It's like the content region
Mm.
where they have so many like
The
memes, videos,
G2
so many
account.
charts, so many
Yes.
talk show, podcast, game shows. Like not just
Dumbs.
G2, like BDS has their
Like
own game shows. Vitality has their own like like talk shows, things like that. Like it's EU is like a content region. So even though they have been failing at Worlds and International, the result has not been that good. There's still like aside from the national thing, I think another part is also because they keep putting out these contents that show the human side of the players. Like get the fans to know the players more and connect with the players on the team more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of another thing that makes like EU fans still follow their teams despite the
Yeah.
result.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I would vote you guys. It's either you have to be really good or you have to be really personable.
Yeah.
You can't not be personable and be bad. That's an A. And look where that's gotten us.
That's kind of honestly, yeah, no, you're right cuz
You
again, the most like biggest thing I remember about like NA is Blippo.
yeah, I
Um
mean at this point it's like what else can you do? Because I feel like you know even as esports fans or fans of anything in general, just having content about your teams, like you guys said, helps connect the fans and helps you grow. It makes you it grows it more naturally rather than praying that your
mhm.
team can be good, which I think we've already established is already very difficult. You know, it's like
Yeah.
Faker wasn't known to be personable. Dude just won like 3 world championships. Was like, oh, okay. After the fact, oh, this guy can be pretty funny. It was like 5 years after he won. Remember, people were like, oh, it's Faker. He can have some moments. No one cared about his personality other than he wanted to win. Like, you got to be a psychopath to want to win that
Yeah,
often.
I
You know what
mean,
I
yeah,
mean?
but like even when he was younger, like he did have his funny moments, like his little somersault, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if that was like an international thing,
It was. It
but
was.
like yeah, but that happening made him kind of be like, "Oh my god, he's kind of a little funny guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Look at that
yeah.
little man go."
But I
You
mean,
know?
but I think that
I
I feel like it wouldn't hold the same if he wasn't already successful. You know what I mean? He just appeared up on the scene and he was really
yeah.
good, and then he stayed
But
there.
I think also if you look at like certain worlds like performances
Mm.
that you really like are charmed by like from other regions, for me specifically I think of like Evie, right? From like in the like JPL, right?
It's
League.
the LCP right now. Yeah.
LCP, okay, LCP League, right? Like at his world stage, right? We think of GAM, right? Like internationally, like they like not only were they all like really personable and like really fun, right? You think
Hmm.
of Pyoshik, right?
Hmm.
Like right, like even outside of like the the like even outside of league, like they became so well known, right? Not just for their skills, but like for their attitude and like the kind of like like joy that it gave the fans to, you know,
Yeah.
because like even
Hmm.
if they didn't win, you're just like, I really hope good things for you. Like think of KT Peter and like think of Doran, right? Like Peter, he did his little like dance, right? And like even like there's like a lot of like fans who are just like, you know what? Like I hope Peter's happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It.
Like
Hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
hmm?
I cut you off. I
Funny.
cut you off. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I don't have anything. That was just me.
So
Yeah.
we just mentioned Evie in the LCP. So I want to draw a quick parallel to the LCP, like how
Mhm.
different Riot did things between the LTA and the LCP. So the LTA, Riot cut off like Riot kept only 6 out of 8 NA teams, I think, and 6 out of 10 Brazilian teams. But in the LCP in Tier 1, Riot kept 2 out of 10 PCS teams, 3 out of 8 VCS teams, 1 out of 8 LCO teams, and 2 out of 8 LJL teams. So what is the difference that made like such a stark difference between the LTA and the LCP, even though the LCP got cut more teams from the like compared to the LTA? The reason is like this is just me from watching the Vietnamese team and the Vietnamese fans' reaction, so I can't really speak for the whole LCP region.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, we had actually seven teams because one team got disqualified in
Yes.
2024. We had seven
I
teams,
think
and
yeah, the
four of
VCT had like a scandal. If I
yeah,
like, I
well, that
remember
was
there was
before
that.
that. I was before that. But basically,
Okay.
we had four out of seven teams merging together
Mhm.
into two teams and bringing all the players together in a roster and just trying to see who works like who plays better to, like together. So it's basically instead of having four teams of five, they became two teams of 10 for a short period of time to join the LCP. And then Gam also picked up some players from the other teams, and basically we just like, hey, because we only have three teams instead of eight teams now, let's just bring as many people we can bring and see who deserves to play. That's the spirit. Um, so even if the number of teams are cut down, I think they're still saving the number of players. That's kind of another
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. So
Yeah, but
basically, Team
like
Secret and Team Wales became Team Secret Wales, and then Team MGN and Vikings became MGN Vikings Esports, so things like that.
it was a merger.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I
Yeah.
cannot speak for like the PCS or the Japanese or
Yeah.
the Oceania teams though, but that's at least that's what I see from the Vietnamese teams. And after that, everyone was really like satisfied with the with the LCP project. Like even though
Yeah.
VCS is no longer really there anymore, it still exists, but it's no longer really VCS anymore. People,
It's more
Vietnamese fans don't mind because of what is happening.
mm,
Like
Mm, mm.
the way they handled it.
Yeah.
So I think merging the regions is not inherently the bad thing. I think the way it
It's
was
the way
handled
they're
was the
merged.
bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was just very sad to see so many CB LOL teams and orgs say goodbye. It genuinely did feel unfair
yeah.
for a lot of teams cuz I think it genuinely just was like whoever there was like a cutoff, right? Or was it just like they were either
So
like
the four Brazilian teams that didn't get to play
mhm.
in Tier One LTA has to play in Tier Two CBLOL, which still exists, by the way. It still exists. Like those four teams still exist and playing in Tier Two. And I believe they
They
also have
just
a
got demoted.
yeah, they do have a promotion system, I
Yeah,
believe. But I'm not sure how specifically it works because next year they're splitting again from NA. So I don't know how that will
that's
work, but
true.
we'll see. Um,
Maybe it will get retconned entirely back. Like there's a chrono break, and we just go back before the LTA ever happened, and we just be
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, that was a weird blip in time." Like, remember when Riot tried this experiment and failed, and then came back to it, and now, like, only time will tell, right? Like next year, we'll see. We'll see how
yeah,
the LCS and the CB will go, right?
yeah.
But like, I
So
Hmm.
think a lot of
yeah,
people are happy about it, right?
yeah. Also, like even though there's so many bad things about this, there are still good things for at least for the Brazilians that they have a team going towards, and everyone expected that team to just like be the bottom of the ladder, like losing to everyone else. No, they did not end up. First of all, even though they have number one of Brazil, they still have to fight the NA teams to see if they are seed two or like seed one, seed two, or seed three. They did lose to FlyQuest, but they beat 100 Thieves to become seed two. Like they are not losing to the NA easily. And then they came to Worlds and they are not getting out first. They beat PSG, which is an LCP Taiwanese team. So like I think it's a good chance for like it's a chance for only one Brazilian team, but it's a good chance for that specific teams to get so much experience and
It is
so much.
guaranteed exposure
Yes,
to from like having a like being forced to genuinely like fight for a spot versus being like able to be like, hey, we're the representation of this region, right?
yeah,
It's
because
like
before before
Yeah.
they have
And
to
I
fight
think that's a
against
good
like
thing. I wish
yeah,
there were more teams to represent different leagues because I think those are the most fun things. I think the reason why we love competition so much is especially like international competitions is because we want to see like people from all around the world, right? To just see like, oh, like I want to see how league was played here, right? I want
yeah.
to see how players are in other countries, like how they view the game, right? And
And
like
a
or how
prime,
they
yeah.
view
Mhm.
us too.
Mhm. And a prime example this year is CFO. Like CFO in previous years, they in the PCS,
Hmm.
they always had to fight in the play-ins and like fighting against teams from the tier two regions. Like back then, VCS was tier two, Brazil was tier two, Japan, Oceania, even Turkey sometimes. Like all those small regions fighting against each other in the play-in, and they did not have the chance to fight against the bigger region teams.
Oh, CFO, my
This
Shayla, my
this
pickums,
yeah,
my Shayla. To be fair, can we talk about KT? Like
we will get there.
nobody.
We will get there. We
Okay,
will
Yeah,
get
we'll
there.
talk
like
about worlds in
my
a little bit.
Shayla.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Let's rant about other region infrastructure first. We'll talk about
Yeah.
worlds because there's a lot
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Even I didn't watch
But
worlds, and I know there's stuff to be talked
yeah.
about.
Yeah, CFO this year has been a phenomenon. They are the only team in the world who joined all three big international events because they
Mm.
dominated LCP. Like they only lost one BO3 throughout the whole year in their region versus
It
Team
was
Six
very
World.
nice because
Yeah,
even in the LCK, the CFO as a team was mentioned multiple times
yeah,
because CFO is a team that does scrim with LCK and LPL
yeah,
teams, right? I think it's the only international team that does it, right?
yeah.
So like have being able to train with like high like the genuinely like the goat faker, right? Being like that is truly like experience that like other teams just can't get.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, but
there's like a lot
that's
of hype
mhm,
built up for CFO like to LCK fans. So when CFO did like show up this year at internationals, there was a lot of hype behind them from like LCK and LPL fans. Like
and
they
they
were
showed
looking
it.
forward to them. Yeah, and like in MSI, right? They
First
in
of all, first of all, in first stand, they completely wiped top esports. That's the first step.
yeah.
And then in MSI, they went toe to toe with T1. They pretty much went toe to toe with AL as well. Even though it was a 1-3, it was really so close in multiple games. Like CFO was a phenomenon. And I want to tell you a fun story talking about CFO scrims. So you said that CFO got to
Mhm.
scrim against the big teams in LCK and you said LPL
Yeah.
too, right? Well, here's a story in words. Team VKS from Brazil came to China late, so they could not schedule a scrim with anyone. And when they are trying to find a scrim, their manager has to go around the Eastwood Hotel knocking on every door begging for a
Yeah.
scrim, and no one accepted except for CFO.
Oh,
CFO was in that position before, so they
yeah.
were willing to scrim with VKS too. So that's such a nice gesture from them as well. Like I heard the story, I love them so much.
Exactly. Like I genuinely feel like there is a lot of like genuine hype and like around CFO, and I think that is kind of what's saving a lot of like the LCP.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think of cuz I honestly uh I like when you think of the LCP, you kind of only think of them
Hmm.
right now. And it's
hmm
like there is a huge reason for that. Mm.
yeah,
Right. So okay.
and mhm,
Before you go on, I just want to put this as a as a parallel tangent here. So
Mhm.
the like I said, I don't watch much pro scene recently in the past like couple of years, and I know about CFO though because like I've seen them at internationals. I'm like, oh, interesting. I don't even know what region they're from because I didn't know the new
Yeah.
acronyms. But now knowing that they're like, oh, they scrimmed LPL, they scrimmed LCK teams, I'm like, that in itself for competition is great, right? I find that great, especially on the international stage, because it's like, you know, they get to prove their mettle, they get to show what they're capable of on that higher stage, because you know it was scrim. But then on the counterpoint, right? This is just a counterpoint, just to bring this up as a talking point, is that other teams in the region aren't able to get that privilege because either they're not willing to, or they just infrastructurally they can't, right? Just unfortunately they can't. It sucks. It sucks for the other teams. Like
it's like one of those things. Like I remember there was like an interview with like an LTA LCS player. I don't remember who, but they were like, it was like, oh, what was your takeaway from this game? And then they responded like, oh, honestly, we were kind of getting stopped so hard, like that we couldn't really take away anything from this game. And like that's genuinely like how like I think a lot of like teams kind of get that scrims where it's like, oh, like we're just getting out everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's why like
and then meanwhile on the other hand, it's like these teams, they don't get anything because they're like, oh, we're winning. You know,
right.
Like so for them it doesn't feel like any use from like, you know, because they also again have their own academy teams, right? So they could be like, you know, why train with international teams when we have our own talent who also play a lot better or like on par, right?
Right.
I think overall it's actually a good thing though, because again, I'm speaking from the perspective of a Vietnamese fan. He's listening to all the Vietnamese fans. Um, we are we are really happy that CFO is kinda the only team who gets to scream these big teams from the LCK and LCP, because no, sorry, not LCP, LPL, because we kind of know for sure that it's super hard for a Vietnamese team to get a scream with those Korean teams, something. But if CFO gets to scream against those teams and become better and become like LCK level, then we have someone in our own region to scream with and play with to improve
we're
ourselves.
cooking.
Yeah, but
we're brewing. The LCP's brewing something.
No, I get that. I get that.
It's flying oysters. It tastes like fresh flying oysters, baby.
No, I get that. But a one team for the longevity of the region is not sustainable for the whole region. Is my point.
Excuse me. Yes. Excuse me. Yes. I will
you
say
can't,
that. Yes.
Because
yes,
let's be honest, a roster for CFO is not going to last more than 2 seasons. Any esport team will not keep a roster for longer than 2 years. Exactly the same. It's not sustainable for a region if that one team doesn't go out.
Honestly, this is where we need to pull, like, especially for the LCP, if they want, like, flying oysters, they need to double down on their roster. Like, they need to keep their roster. Like, they have to pull the T1 strat, right? Where they're like, if they're consistently performing well, like, as a team, as a roster, I don't feel like, unless it's, like, genuinely just cost, like, contract, because, like, you know, as you get better, you want to fight for higher wages, right? So like it's a matter of like, can these orgs keep up with the pay, right, to these players? And like oftentimes that's why a lot of players leave. It's just like they can't, you know. So right, if they do that, right, I think it would be great. But actually, like a lot of CFO like fans, they're fans of these individual players too, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's why I think like if they like, even if they're like, you know, like after 2 years, right? If the roster splits up, I think each of these players have their own individual fans that will be able to carry on, right? Because it's like think about it, like the great, like it's like, you know how like this legendary group breaks apart, right? And then they all create their own like teams, and then all of it, like it's this setting of Kuroko no Basket, right? They all break up, right? And then they all form their own teams of basketball teams, and they all go up against each other after like a hiatus, being like, oh, you know, I trained with a bunch of new people, like, and now we're going to see who's really the best person, right?
Right.
Because we
But
were so
mhm.
great as a team. Let's see how we did individually.
Right. But again,
but we can't.
that's not like healthy, sustainable, because once they retire, the
Well,
region's gonna die. The
well,
region's
no,
gonna
not
Well,
die.
why
really.
would then
Well,
don't
what if?
like it really does hinge on players not
It,
retiring. Like
no,
this
see,
game,
this is
like
that's the
let's be
problem.
honest, like leagues, yeah. So like genuinely, as I feel like if these players, like players are what makes the league, right?
Yeah.
So we should make sure that players have, you know, like a sustainable work
Yeah.
environment.
I
Right.
think whether it's sustainable or not depends on how the weaker teams in the region handle it. Because if they make use of the fact that they get to scrim a much better team in the region now,
Hmm.
like well, then they will also become better and start getting invited to scrims with bigger region teams.
Well,
You know,
but
and
again, that's
and this is like a ladder,
situationally
ladder,
though.
ladder. Yeah,
But that's like
yeah, that's
that's
situation.
the what the PC whatever what it's called, whatever the P is,
LCP,
LCP. Yeah. So that's solely on like the orgs themselves in the region, because they have the ability of those other regions, right? Where this is, which is like the same counterpoint. If we look on like 7 years ago, again, this is old head knowledge now. If we looked at
Mhm.
like before Japan was included into that, it was only DFM who won for like 8 straight years or whatever in Japan, being the sole team, because they're also the only they
Yes,
were the
yeah.
only
I
Japan
remember
team.
that.
They were the
Oh,
I
only
do
Japan team
remember.
that scrimmed against LPL and LCK also. And then Japan became a one region team. VCS is about to
well,
turn the same
yeah.
way. And then this
Well,
is
no, VCS has always been a one region team until we merged with LCP. Before
right.
that, it's only game. Now
Right.
it's no longer game.
Right. So, but now it's just a new age now, new era. They're in there.
Mhm.
But my point is, for this, for smaller regions, especially now that they're merging in, they have to include. This is now this we've talked about the social side, right? About having the fans be the bloodline and
Mhm.
the foundation for league as a whole to get their player base and support. Now you have to go to the esports side. How do you get your team to be competitive? You have to be
Well,
willing to step out of the box, but you have
You
to do
have
it
to
on
be
your has to
willing
be on
to
your terms.
scrim.
It has to
You
be
have
on
to
your
be
terms.
willing to train.
Right.
It's very strange because you hear these like stories of like teams like just kind of FFing at draft stage where
Yeah.
they'll be like, I don't want to play against this matchup. So they'll just like be like, okay, so you win. And then
Right.
let's just start game two. And it's just like, what? Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like you hear that as a fan and you're just like, wait, then like do you even like what are you going to do against like higher level teams? Right? You
Exactly.
can't just do that. Like why aren't you taking this seriously?
Exactly, because it's like the reason I bring this up, because like we said, out of DFM and CFO, um, those are the teams that have gone out of their way to play outside their regions for the top teams in the world. And I think historically, it's also proven that for other teams as well, right? I think for teams that have gone out of their way to go to play against top talent, not on their regular schedule, I think is how a team is more likely to succeed and better overall the region, because I feel like it's not bringing the scrim practice to them, it's influencing the other orgs to also scrim against other regions on their own time. The reason I bring this up is go back to the infrastructural part, because they tried to force it with LTA being a whole ass region. They're like, oh yeah, top Brazil versus top NA. Nothing came of it. Nothing came of it, because there was always a good Brazil team. There was always a good Brazil team. It didn't. There was like, what was it? Pain Gaming at the time, whoever it is, or 6-7 years ago, someone else.
Brazil is
They're I'm not saying they're a bad region. I'm just saying they always had that at least one team that was competitive. But that goes for any professional region. There's always at least one team. My problem is there should be more than just one team good at a region. That's my point. My point.
It's genuinely just again, there's not enough like
They gotta
players like yeah, there's not enough teams that are like willing to engage further past like being funded. It
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah. So
It's like we secured the funding. Okay, now let's just kind of do our best.
yeah.
But how do
And
you
it's like, okay, but like, no, I think it's not at this point, it's not like we need to do our best. At this point, it's like you kind of have to treat it like a do or die situation. Like, like, let's really give it our all. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
how do you define like more than one team good in the region though? Because even though one team is superior, it doesn't mean that they are the only good team, no?
Well, I mean, it's
Um,
like, having that regional dynasty. I think it's like CFO has been the face of that region for a while. I think back in the
mhm.
day it was DFM. Brazil was the alternate between the two, which is I think is good. At least having two teams as a face of something is really nice.
because
Um, go ahead.
while CFO can kind of match like the second to fourth teams of like China or Korea right now,
Hmm.
the third and fourth teams and or even fifth teams of LCP region can match like the fifth or sixth or seventh team of China. Like they
Yeah, but
actually
it's
beat them.
yeah,
Gambit Jindong. Something like that.
it's like, are the fans gonna see that? It's the other thing.
Yes,
It's like
they
how
all saw that.
right. Okay. See, this one right on.
Well,
It's
I
like I'm
think
not
it's
seeing
just
it.
a
I'm not seeing it on like a broadcast, right? It's like it's not
yeah,
representative of like what the stakes are. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Mm.
not.
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing.
I'm kind of
There's
pushing
no.
it a
That's
little bit,
why
but
I'm saying they need good social media
Yeah.
managers because
Yeah.
they need to interact with the fans because there are fans that exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do see them, we hear them, right? So it's like there needs to be a way for the teams to engage with fans in an effective and like meaningful way so that they can create support for the players
Yeah.
like past the org so that even when they move to different teams there's still support,
Mm-hmm.
right?
yeah,
I think that's why we have stories like KT, right? That's why we have stories like DRX.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there are fans who believed in them even during their flop girl era, right?
Right.
So
yeah,
like there is that like unifying factor that like having that faith that like teams need to capitalize on
you you're
essentially.
you're kind of touching my fanatic heart with this one.
Exactly. Right? And I think
I see.
that's why esports like is so fascinating to watch because you hear stories about like rosters like coming together like or these
Right.
players like
Right.
individually
Right.
going through their journeys,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like there's
Yeah,
like people say it's scripted and something and it's like no, it's just because the individuals have stories and this time we're just choosing
Okay.
to look into them, right?
yeah, and
So
the
that's how
media
we're
Right.
knows
able to
how.
pull these like connections to each other, right? And like I think that's like the
Yeah.
most like incredible part about esports and that's why a lot of like fans watch it, right? It's because we love
Mm-hmm.
like oh my god, we love these players and like how they play league.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
generally, like if you look at, for example, OK Bro, like that team,
Let's
they
go,
might.
bro.
I feel like I
Believers.
think I think in Korea specifically, they have like HLE might have more fans than OK Bro, but internationally, like I think OK Bro has more fans than HLE, just
Yes.
because they are funny. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they are a good enough team, but they are
Right.
funny.
I
Right.
do
Right.
Like
think they are like an oddity where they are famous internationally solely for the memes,
Mm-hmm.
but
yeah,
the memes themselves garner actual support for the team indirectly.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
but that goes back to our original point, right? It's like being personable versus being like top team, right? It's
yeah,
like they definitely got that personal side to it. But
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we
I'm just
have.
focusing on like the competitive side. Like I'm past the social
Mhm.
fan aspect of it. So
Yeah.
sorry, I'll wrap this up so then we can go back to. But I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like a broken record being on the same topic.
No, you're good.
But it's the my point that I was trying to make for the one region teams, quote unquote one region teams. You can take that as hard of a term as you want. Is for how do you garner fans outside of your region if your region's only being represented by the same team? You know what I mean? It's like you also have to have that brand recognition by being good. If you don't have that like person that those personalities, that
Well,
content,
we gotta.
because
That's why
it's
we
like
gotta find these players.
you
We
got
gotta
the
find
orgs
these
have to
Cinderella stories,
you
and
got the orgs have to
that's
get all
the
the
issue with the
yeah.
orgs. That's
That's
their
the org. Yeah, that's
orgs
my point.
mission, right?
That's my point. That's my
Right?
point.
They
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's
I
that's
just
that's what I'm
wish.
getting at. Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
at least for the
Well, let's
LCP,
go.
I
If
think.
there's any in the future, if there's any fucking orgs that are just like, hey, why are we failing? Like, how do we get on our this is what we're telling you guys directly, please, okay?
Oh my god.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Like we're saying it to you right now. We've been saying it for years, right? It's not like this is like like how do we think about it, right? It's not just boards of directors thinking about the future of esports. It's the fans too.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Like
exactly.
for example, Dignitas, like they have been around since the beginning of all time,
Dude, they
and
were an
they
esport of an org for they're literally one of the oldest orgs in all of all esports,
and
bro.
I feel like throughout the
Ah, I remember
so many
that name.
so many years that I don't feel either like impressed or connected to them, even when I watch them. Like it's just they don't do enough. Even if they're not doing well, they should have some, you know, fan connection, something like that. Like that's we're saying. Um, so it's kind of a very important thing that teams have to do.
Yeah, that's the very specific third option is just historical legacy. Dignitas has just been there for so
Hmm.
long. You know what I mean? They're literally the last of the old guard to exist. So
Yeah,
that they're the one exception to the first two rules of
They're
yeah,
truly
personality
it's
are
like
good.
truly like they are the last tree at like the national park, and it's like you got to protect it. It's like just because it's centuries old redwood, right? It's like we don't care like the like how the tree looks. Like this is the last tree. Like if we cut it down, it's gone forever, right? If it dies, it's gone forever. The
Yeah,
entire forest is gone, right?
Dignitas
So
is
protect the tree.
Dig is just a passion project for the owners at this point.
yeah.
It honestly, I hope it is so that maybe there is like care and love put into it, like in.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Dig is dig, dude. They got to like what the finals one time, I think, or semifinals, whatever.
That's
What final? What final? Wait,
No, who
which
am I thinking of? LC, no, yeah, LCS. It wasn't dig. No, who am I thinking of that got to? I forgot. Never mind. I'm mixing. I think I'm mixing up orgs. But the point is, dig has just always been dig. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. All right, we're past
All
I
right,
think we're past infrastructural and regional stuff, bro. You
all
let's
right,
wrap this up with worlds for the next 20 minutes because I know there's a lot
all
to
right,
talk about worlds, bro.
all right. Well, no. Before we go into KT roster,
Specifically,
um,
Casey, I knew you ass.
well, there are some stuff that well, some interesting stuff this goes to. I actually plan to talk about CFO and VKS as a similar point, because it's like it's a big chance. Like this is the first year that this team can have like experience playing with the bigger region teams without worries about having to pass the play-in or those things. But we kind of got past that point. So let's move on from that part. 100 Thieves is a phenomenon this world. Like they might not be like one of the top teams, like their playstyle wise, but they did make a huge shock against BLG, and they did make their games versus T1 fun to watch. And they're so personable as well. Like everyone watched their videos and everyone fell in love with them. Even Koreans, even Chinese, especially Chinese because of Ni Hao Estokla every single morning. It's just so
Mhm.
funny. And I
It
think
was
worst this
specifically is the fact that he's like like it's genuinely just hotel bed,
yeah,
forehead first,
naked as well.
shirtless, ni hao.
Yeah. And I think Worlds always needs something like that, like something on that like casual side, that fun side, to make people laugh, to make people happy, to like enjoy these moments, other than just feel competitiveness. I think every world needs something like that. Um, Brazil got their first win at like big win at Worlds, like main event. So that's a huge achievement for them. They beat PSG. Well, this year PSG kind of got down from a bit, but like it is what it is. Fnatic got 0-3. That's all. I don't want to talk more about it. Let's just move on to KT before I start ranting about Fnatic. Okay. So, Neon, how much did you hear about KT roster?
Hey, look, man. People, I'm just hearing there's disappointments on various levels. That's all I need to say at this point. So,
Honestly, I will say, as somebody who loves the LCK and has been following the LCK for like, I don't know, just like a few years, because again, like, I'm like as a whole, right? I think KT roster has such an interesting history because they have been kind of like jokingly like like coined as like the the coin flip team, like the roller coaster, right? And also probably and the cause of T1's current great height,
Not
right?
just that, by the way, like
Like
the root cause of everything.
yeah, like that yeah, so they cuz T1 truly they started their win streak the day like on the day KT roster chose T1 as their match opponents. Like for some reason that day, ever since then, T1 has been like climbing like the LCK and then internationals over and over again. Like they're kind of like so KT has been both like named like one of the most unluckiest teams of the world, right? But also one of the funniest teams, in my personal
Yeah.
opinion, because you really never know what you get when you watch a KT game. Like KT roster, like roster as a season this year, I think we need to remember that basically every single player except for the jungler got demoted to Challengers League for like a week. Like
And
they
MBDP
took
as well.
turns in the jacuzzi. Like they were sent to the kiddie pool to like with their floaties on for a week. Like they took turns, right? They had one after one series, they had funeral wreaths sent to the HQ with their full passport names, not their player names, their full legal names, right?
no,
They
damn.
have had a rough season, okay? And like them finally like all of like kind of beating Genji, right? Knocking Genji in the LCK to lower brackets where they faced T1 and then T1 had to go to the elimination match, right? First day of Worlds, right? KT is the reason, right? And truly it was like a game that nobody thought KT would win, similar to this current semifinals with Genji, right? No one thought KT would win, but KT somehow won,
Okay.
and not even somehow like Jesus Christ, they all broke their hands.
Okay, so I think there's a lot of context that I have to provide Neon here. Let's turn back the clock to 2023. So 2023 summer LCK. KT roster was the number one of like the summer group. They were that strong back then, 2 years ago, even above Gen G. And in the playoffs, they had a choice to choose a T1 that they have beaten whole year round, but
Who was
still look
very much
but,
in their flop girl era.
but still look pretty strong, or HLE, who was back then not strong at all 2 years ago. And instead of choosing the weaker opponents, they chose T1, the opponent that they had always beaten, and they lost for the first time in summer playoff, 2-3. They proceed to go down to the loser bracket and beat HOE 3-0. So they could have beaten HOE 3-0 and just get on with it. like qualify for Worlds. Done. No, they they had to go to the loser bracket because they chose T1 and lost, and they met T1 again and lost again. So instead of being the first seed, like they were the best team in summer, instead of being the first seed for that, they became the third seed.
Mm.
They
And
genuinely slipped on. They got blue shelled twice in Mario
yeah,
Kart.
and after that, the reward for them getting to Worlds, being the third seed instead of first seed, is meeting all four Chinese team plus D plus Kia, like twice throughout the whole Worlds run. Zero Western team, zero minor region team, all four Chinese team, and they got knocked out at quarters, even though they played their heart out. And people say they were cursed the day they chose T1 as their opponent. T1 went on to win that year, beating all four Chinese teams. So that's 2023. Next, the year following that, 2024, Riot released Heavy is the Crown. Oh my god, what a banger MV. Everyone is hyped. The problem is, T1, the main character of Heavy is the Crown, has the chance to be eliminated. They are one BO5 away from getting eliminated and not qualifying for Worlds. And who's their opponent? KT roster.
KT roster,
And KT went up
baby.
2-1 in that BO5 until they shut off and completely donated two games in a row to
Oh my
T1. And
gosh.
T1 won
Oh
on
my
the game
gosh.
5
Yep,
of the
yep.
last BO5 of the year to go to Wolves and win Wolves again. All because of KT roster. But
Truly.
you think they
And
only
now,
cost the yeah you can yeah what do you say
oh no,
nobody.
no, you keep spinning your tail, Min.
All right, so you think that butterfly effect only applies to T1? No, let's turn back the time again. 2022, the regional finals. Okay, um, Leaf Sandbox is waiting in the last BO5 for their opponent. Three teams has already qualified, which were Genji, T1, and D plus Kia. Leaf Sandbox is waiting, and their opponent is either KT or DRX. And in game 5, KT and DRX were 2-2, drawing 2-2. They go to game 5. KT made the decision to go for the Cloud Soul. They got the Cloud Soul in trade for their Nexus
Oh
because they
yeah,
got backdoored.
I remember that one. I remember
Yeah,
seeing that one.
DNX scraped through that VO5 thanks to the decision to trade Cloud Nexus for Cloud Soul by KT. They went on to beat Leaf Sandbox 3-2 in the next series, qualify for Worlds as 4th seed, get through play-in, get through group stage, get through quarter, semi, and go to final, and won Worlds because DX 2022 only won Worlds because in their first elimination match, KT trade Nexus for Cloud Soul.
Classic.
So KT is like the root cause of everything recently in League of Legends Pro is like esports. They, I don't have any more words to describe them. And this year is kind of crazy as well. Like they've been the top 4 to 6 teams consistently. They're among the teams that are worse than the top 3 teams of LCK, but better than the bottom teams. But they are the only team that managed to beat all HLE, Genji, and T1 at least once throughout the LCK year.
Mm.
And the Genji match was the key point. Genji had the choice to choose between T1, who is still super strong. They just got third because unlucky. Also, the reason why T1 was third in groups in summer instead of second, even though they beat Hangwon Live like every single game, but Hangwon Live got second, T1 got third, was because T1 randomly lost one BO3 series to KT. So KT was the one who pushed T1 down third. And then Genji has to choose between T1, who's super strong even though they're third, and KT, who looks much weaker and is fourth. And Genji chose KT and lost 2-3. It sounds so familiar to KT 2 years ago. And then KT proceed to lose 0-3 in the next two series. So people were like, okay, so KT is just on a fluke day and Genji just on an off day and there's nothing to worry about. That loss though actually pushed T1 to elimination match versus IG, which I'm still kind of salty about because IG is my second favorite team in the world because of the shy, but we don't talk about that. Um, yeah, KT advanced to Worlds and no one expected much from them. Many people even expect KT to get like not even qualify for top 8. And on the third match day, everyone realized, oh, HLE is one loss, one win. T1 is one loss, one win. Genji is one loss, one win. KT is two wins straight. And they're about, and then they proceed to win like three complete series, losing no game at all. Like their form in Worlds is insane. They look completely different from they look throughout the whole year. No one can explain why. And then CFO, the team that got scrimmed with so many LCK teams, they got like on equal footing with T1 with AL. Everyone has so much hype in them. They got clean swept 0-3 by KT. All three games dominant by KT in the quarters. And then KT meet Genji in the semis. And I think you know this part, Neon.
Okay, okay. So then that's all of that. But what about now? What about now?
So now actually there's one more thing that I want to address about this whole KT thing. People keep saying that it's KT fault this year as well, that T1 has to go to elimination. Um I don't think so. I think it's in a Genji. Um I want to talk about specifically one person on Genji's team who is Jovi. Like everyone blame him so much and I don't think he deserves the blame at all. Um Bunny, what do you think about Jovi, like personally, throughout all these years?
Okay, like people saying that he's choky, like choking. Like I genuinely feel like him like being like, underwhelming at international stages. I feel like is very circumstantial. Like when you look at the years, it's like, yeah, I guess like he could like you there's always the argument of like he could have played better, right? But you could say that about any player, right? And like genuinely, I think it is just like the conditions of the match that day, right? And like um what is it? Chovy has always stated that like he has a lot of anxiety around like internationals, right? And uh like I think that's very understandable, right? And like also it's not something that uh it's not like it's like a mental thing. Like you need like that's like not like a mechanics thing. That's like a you need like a mindset type uh solution.
Yeah,
And I feel like again like fans like when they see I think like fans who don't watch like the LCK and only know the LCK from like the world's broadcast always have like this picture of like the LCK as like like very like like pride, like proud and like very like kind of condescending, right? Or like they're cold and boring, right? And it's just like I think it's just kind of more like I think the players that are shown on the big stage kind of get nervous. Right? And
yeah, and
that's like it is what it is. Like you like so I like when people are like super harsh and are like, "Oh yeah, no, he's just choking." It's just like, "Okay, but like I think it's still admirable, like, and I think like there will be a day, like I think there will be a year, right? You just gotta have faith as a fan, right? If you're really like a Chovy fan, right? You want to see him win one day, right? I think
Yeah, like
instead of just saying like, oh, he's a choker, like, oh, he's a like, oh, he sucks, like, oh, he threw, like, that's not like I don't think that's really fan like behavior.
yeah, like Death took 10 years to win Worlds. BDD took 10 years to get to a Worlds final. Then like Toby has just been around for 6 or 7 years. Like that's a
Exactly.
good
He's
thing.
been on the international stage. He's an international mainstay, right? He's consistently showing up in attendance, right? And I
Yeah.
think that speaks for itself. Like, just because he doesn't have a title, right? It's like, doesn't mean that he's not influential.
Yeah,
Right, right,
and
right.
I think his mentality also ties a little bit to his game ideology. So I don't know if you have watched the teaser video between Genji and KT like before the match, but that's a very interesting point I picked up, and that was it was how Chovy, like Genji Chovy and KT Cuz described their different point of view about how the perfect game of League of Legends should be played. And Chovy said that the game has so many small details, so many intricate details that it takes a player everything to find all those details and surpass their own limits and basically like just noticing very these small details that can turn them from great to the best, something like that. Well, on the other hand, what Cuz said was League of Legends, when played perfectly, is when every member on the team synergize together for a common goal, regardless of how their individual plays are. And I think that kind of reflects Jovi's mindset a bit. I think I don't think he's selfless at all. Anyone who says Chovy is sorry selfish at all. Anyone who says Chovy is a selfish player is wrong. I'll say that he plays for the team. I can tell you that. He's changed so much since his early days, but the problem is he has this like anxiety, this worry in the back of his head that he has to be perfect. He has to be like pay attention to all these small details. He has to not make a mistake so that he can help his team win. And that put too much responsibility and stress onto one player's shoulder. Because when like this is just my personal opinion, but the way you play the game is not trying to avoid mistakes so that you can help the team win. Is that you can rely on your teammates when you make mistake. I think that's kind of reflected in KT's gameplay. They did not play perfectly. KT made mistake throughout that series, but they trusted each other and they backed each other up when they made mistake. Where Chovy was so afraid that he would make a mistake that cost his team the game, that he was like that fear kind of held him back in this very important last series in every Worlds. And I think one day he will realize, or like he will realize that he can rely on his teammates more, and that is the day that he will win the world's title. That's what I feel.
Okay. So then I ask you this question because I was in VC with some other people as we had conversation about Chovy. So Chovy probably one of the best LCK players. You know, statistically, he's won a lot.
Oh yeah, no.
Right.
He's such a statistical outlier. It's so funny. His stats has to be removed from like when you make graphs
Yeah,
because he raises the standard deviation like way too high.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
So like in all metrics, I think what like Chovy is such a technical player. Like he's such a great player at squeezing every ounce of gold from the map, right? That's just how he plays. Like he's so meticulous with it, right?
Right. Right.
And like I think that's like one of his strongest suits as a player, right? Is that even if he's behind, he's not really behind because he has this reserve of gold and this reserve of resources. Like he knows how to get everything from the game, right? So like not only would he is he not like that behind in terms of like the game sense, right? But he also is there like as a good back foot pivot, right? When they need him to like really step up.
Right.
And honestly, I think that it's like just genuinely the issues between like play styles. I think Genji's play style, because Ruler's like a really like flashy player, right? He loves to go in like he is a very, and so like when you play around him, right, you need to set up like a lot of things for him to really get that moment. And unfortunately, it's just like BDD was just able to get the jump on them like much quicker. Like KT was just genuinely able to get like those plays faster than Genji could make those plays too.
Mhm.
And like let's like honestly, KT had this issue a lot where they would do great, right? Where they would have this advantage and then will like just overstep and then just drop the ball so hard. And then while they're dropping the ball, like they keep digging deeper. Like they'll just keep making more and more like desperate plays, and it's like, oh no, it's oh god, it's worse. Oh no, it's worse. It's worse.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
oh god, it's so bad. And then like one day, at one point of the game, they'll make this risky Hail Mary move, and it absolutely works. And then the game just flips on its head, right? And that's the beauty of KT games, right? And like meanwhile, Genji games, they're very methodical. Like they just ramp up because they're like slow cooking, right? They
Right,
get
right.
every single ounce of the map. And then like if you try to like make a move, they're like, "Oh, you're making a move? Well, we're going to counter it." Right?
Right,
We're
right.
going to move
Mhm.
around you, right? We're out strategizing you, right? And it's just like at some point, right? Like you if you have an advantage, you just can't push your advantage. And Genji uses that to turn the tides, right? It's just like you slowly realize you just don't have the resources. They just somehow outscaled you. Even though the kills you were ahead at the beginning, you're like, wait, the gold lead is not different.
Mhm.
And then they start slowly gaining those like odds, and then they just keep stacking up and then they win, right? And like that's why like for Genji, like people who don't like Genji games, they're kind of like it's boring. But like for people that love Genji games, they're watching, right? They're very attentive of like the details of the game. So like
I
I think that's why, yeah, that's why there's a lot of like, especially if you're like watching LC from like an LCK perspective, you're like, oh, this is spicy.
Okay. So then, okay. Thank you for both of your insights, by the way, for all of that. So then, so that's the KT part. We don't need. I feel like we don't need to talk about T1. T1 is T1. I don't. It's. We'll talk about
No,
once we
oh
get to
man,
actually, but
I'm
we're not
so
talking
sorry.
about.
No, there is no.
There
I'm so
is
sorry. There is context. Yeah, I'm sorry. Have you heard of this player named Smash?
no.
Oh man, for some reason in the middle of the season, T1 tried to pull a six-man roster. Like right at the high,
Oh
like
wait, he was the
right at the
ADC, right?
drama.
Right. There are
Yeah,
like people trying to bench Guma. I know that one. Yeah.
yeah, but like it was also during the Zeus like re-signing drama, like
Yeah.
resurfacing, right? So there was a lot of like that happening, and during that time, they were really struggling. Like ever since then, like T1 fans have been like, yeah, they kind of struggled to really get up from that, right? And they're like gaining momentum, but it's genuinely like if you look at their games, you're just like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah. But
and
then here they are back in the world
Yeah,
finals.
exactly.
So it's like, I
And you're
don't know.
genuinely like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like,
Oh
Classic
how,
yeah,
in
like
T1,
spite of
dude.
all of this, yeah, as a T1 fan, like, you can't help but feel crazy because you're just like, why are you, huh? How? And like, meanwhile, for people who's only watched like internationals or like don't know, they're just like, oh, T1's here again. Like, oh, whatever. And you're just like, no, you don't understand. Like, we were like,
No, I get you.
what?
See, it sounds like the Dodgers the past 2 seasons. It's like, what?
Yeah.
How? How did we won? Hell yeah.
Like,
We
like
made it?
okay,
remember
so
Hell
we
yeah.
had to do
Yeah,
There are
like
two
find you
stories here.
elimination game like at the very beginning, and then ever since then you're just kind of like, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, okay, so quarterfinals this year, T1 versus AL. They were 1-2 down versus AL. They lose one more, they are out. And the decision, I remember, was for owners to get on Mundo
Yeah,
for the first time in 7 years
quarterfinals.
and
No,
have
okay.
him read. Yeah?
No, like I feel like we need to context this even more, right? This is elimination game 5, AL versus AL, right? They were all in their other games previously, they really fucking dropped the ball with like a Seraphine blind pick support like early. I think it was Seraphine Ash or something, right? They're like already pulling these wacky fucking ideas, right? And you're thinking game 5, they fucking pull out Mundo second pick, right? Their red side. And you're like, as a T1 fan, you're like, what the fuck? And as an analyst, you're like, what the fuck? And as somebody who doesn't know, you're like, oh, they picked Mundo, right? But then again, the context owner has not played Mundo since his rework. The only time he's played Mundo, fans have like dug this up, was in 2018, back when he was playing like not professionally. This guy was like he was 18 just playing Mundo, and that was the last time he's played Mundo. And they released the voice comms, right? And then you hear them, you hear the conversation, and you just hear them going like Faker just going, "Hey, like, wouldn't Mundo be a good pick here?" And owner's like, I haven't played it before. Hey, like what? Okay, well then, like, do you know any good matchups? Like, what are they bad against? And he's like, I don't know. They're like, okay, well, you could play them, right? And then Tom, the coach, just goes, okay, here. So for the first 5 jungle camps, what you're gonna do is you're gonna work like use his E, and they just start listing his abilities and like his build path. And like Tom pulls up the runes and keystones for owner, right? And you just see in the background on his screen, he's looking at tooltips, he's looking at like the animations for like what the fuck like he even does. And in the first 3 minutes of the game, you just see him like wandering around and he's just reading his skills.
In
And
the
then you see the rest of
meanwhile,
the
the
game,
whole
you see what he's building, and he's building the same exact things as the jungler for AL. He's just mirror building. He didn't know what
and
to build.
in the meanwhile, in the first 3 minutes of the game, while owner was in his jungle reading Mundo abilities, Aya was 4 member in their outside jungle, afraid that Mundo will invade them. They were so scared. They were together in this red buff, like just waiting for Mundo to appear to counter his invade because they were like, "Oh, he picked Mundo. He must know Mundo. He's gonna invade me this way, that way." And they were just sitting there in that bush, waiting
And
for that Mundo
meanwhile,
invade.
yeah, and meanwhile, they truly, even owner didn't know what he was gonna do next. Like
Yeah.
truly, because he didn't play well. That his Mundo was not stellar, right there. If you look, he's missed like so many cues. There are like 5 minute long compilations,
Oh, I've seen
right?
those. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's not like he played well, but like it's just the like truly you see how flippant they are when they're going into drafts and stuff, and you're like, how are they winning? Like this was game 5. How did they do that?
And
Like
yeah, that's the point. Even when owner picked Mundo, like he accepted his fate to pick Mundo, and even when he make mistake, he throws so many miscues, he doesn't know what to do. It doesn't matter that much because his team backs him up, and he trusts his
they
team.
all
That's why
go in.
he trusts his team. That's why he picks Mundo, even though he doesn't know how to play Mundo, because he trusts his
Mm.
team and then he listens to his team. And I kind of want to draw a parallel back to Chovy in a sense, but I think we have talked about Chovy. Like he just has more lesson to learn, and then he's a world champion. But like we'll see that in the future, I trust. So we don't have to look back to that before. Another thing that I want to talk about is KT. Like again, because they in game 2 versus Genji, they also picked Kiana Rek'Sai, which they have never picked this year. Like it's a slightly softer degree than first picking Mundo after 7 years, but they picked two champions that they have never played throughout the whole year, Cuss and Perfect, and they just went into that game and took a lead after like 10 minutes against Genji. They did lose that game. That was their only loss in Ghost this year, but they also had the balls to do that. Like just first pick some champions this year. That's it, and they don't really care that they don't know or they are not used to playing them for a long time. That doesn't matter. And those are kind of like the mentality of the champions,
Mm-hmm.
both KT and T1. So I'm just so hyped for this like Worlds final this Sunday. We have never had a telecom wars in the final.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just
Honestly, we haven't had really a telecom wars for a
I
while.
don't think
Like
it's not been a war.
it's not been a world war at all. It's kind of
hey hey
it's been so bad that like people stopped calling it telecom war. Like
hey
that's how one-sided it was.
say it's one-sided, but their latest encounter before Worlds
I mean, yeah,
was the
no,
only time.
that's
Yeah,
why it's hype. That's why it's hype, right? Because it's like there's a spark, right? There's a
yeah,
spark and people are catching on to it. And I'm so glad because honestly, BDD, after like he really fucking played out of his mind and like brought Gen G down to their knees, right? And if there's anyone who's gonna fucking friendship his way to victory, it's gonna be BDD, right? We see the parallels in DRX, right? We see the same story echoing, and you're like, BDD, this is your Cinderella moment. Like,
yeah.
this is
And
it.
not just BDD, like we see his teammates step up too. Cuz has been so consistent this Worlds.
Oh
Like
my god.
I
There's
always,
also
I
so much
always,
parallels with Cuz being he
yeah.
used to be a T1 jungler and now he's playing up against his former team.
Um, yeah, and Perfect and Peter has stepped up so much as well. And I
Yeah,
mean, Peter still makes some mistake, but he's still doing well in general. And he just, everyone is his fan. He just looks so happy, and everyone
I
just
love
loves to
Peter.
smile. And Perfect has
He's
been,
just so happy to be there
and
all the
Perfect has been
time.
much better after he was benched mid-season. Now he's so much
Again,
better.
he did not benched, demoted to Challengers League.
Oh yeah, that
Like
too.
he wasn't benched, right? Because benched implies you were at the coaching, like with the coaches and like scrimming, like watching their scrims. No, he was playing for their academy team. Like
Yeah,
everybody in KT Rolster like played for their academy team. Like when they were in academy, they were stomping the academy teams. Right?
yeah,
Truly, they just literally went on like Smurf mode for a bit just to like clear out like
yeah,
before they took on the main team again. So like genuinely like being a KT roster, like if you just look at them, you're just like, dang,
yeah.
like
But the one I think stepped up the most is Delk Dam. So Neon, but Bunny just mentioned to you that Chovy was such a big outlier because he raised all the parameters among the stats up so high that they have like it's such like it makes such a huge change to like the deviation and stuff, right? Like Bunny just told you that, right? Um, Delkdam is on the other end of the spectrum. Like they used to show these graphs where each player has like six different stats, and then Chovy was like maximum of all the stats, like a perfect hexagon, and then other players are like zigzaggy hexagons. Like some are good at this stat, bad at that stat. Some are bad at this stat, good at that stat, and they just have some weird hexagons where Chovy has these perfect hexagons. Can you guess what Delkdam's like shape of the graph was? On that hexagonal graph.
Mm-hmm.
It was a line. He had only one non-minimum stat. The rest were minimum. That was Delkdown in my memory. And he was the 11th best ADC in a 10 team league. that speaks volume about Delta before.
Mm-hmm.
And now I wouldn't like I don't want to disrespect Ruler. Ruler also played well, but Delta kind of completely capped Ruler in that series. Like he played so well. I do not recognize him at all. Before there was a joke in Vietnamese where his name sounds similar to Dao Kodam, which is no damage. Now we have to apologize him. I have to write an apology letter to Dao Kodam after this. Like, who is this man? He's completely different. That's it. That's my closing point about Delta. Like he's just the one who stepped up the most. Like BDD has always been good, although all the teammates step up, but
Yes.
this guy improved the most.
Also, again, for reference, Dokdam was also demoted to Challengers League. like,
Yeah,
so again, like again, all of these players, right? When we bring up like this is how far they've come, like it's truly like as a fan, you even if like you're just a casual, you can't help but be amazed by like their journey. And like
yeah,
I think that's why if you're a KT fan, like people are so excited, you know?
Right, right, right. It's like
mhm,
it's their time has come as a fan base.
yeah.
Yeah.
Finally. Okay.
And I
Yeah, like
noticed,
even if you're not like an avid fan, like you can't help but feel for them because it's just like dang, like they keep getting knocked down, but they keep coming back up again, you know?
it's DRX 2022, except it's different because
Yeah, exactly.
Here
DRX 2022 kind of scraped through some parts of the journey. They struggled a lot. This KT roster is 10 win, 1 loss after 11 games, strategy games in these worlds. And I know this is very unlikely, but in the case that they go 3-0 against T1 in the final, KT roster will tie with 2025 KT roster will tie with 2015 SKT T1 as the most dominant world championship run of all time. Only one single loss. That's insane.
but that
But
call it
and I
insane if it happens. that
yeah
you're asking
Yeah.
for a
Oh
lot
no, but
there.
here's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Like here's the thing, Min is that's a rule amongst KT Rolster fans is just don't believe in KT Rolster
right.
because they have thrown leads like this. Remember, like what like Min said, they have been at really high peaks and just dropped it all.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
know.
You can't like you can't think of
T1,
the
yeah.
records until it's done,
Yeah,
dude.
you can't like
Like
Yeah.
you
you like Min is talking this huge game, but you can't
it's like it's
because
not
they've
even
dropped the
happened
ball
yet.
in the past. And like for T1 fans, it's like the same
Yeah, this is
because
like
DRX.
it's a
So
rinse and
T1
repeat,
fans are like,
bro.
we can't say shit either. Like
Yeah.
truly, if you see the discourse, it's both fans going to each other, being like, "You guys got this. You guys got this. No, you. No, you,"
Oh
because they don't
my
want to
god.
jinx it.
I mean that's just so how it is. You either have gotta have full faith or go with the jinx approach there. So who
It's so
knows?
fun.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, we've been going on for about 2 hours, so we'll start wrapping this up. Um, okay. Now let me ask one question currently because we talked about Chovy, but because
Mhm.
I don't know that much about Chovy. I don't watch LCK. I know about his name. He's been on Worlds. Casey Roaster. I know some of the names on that roster. It's cool. T1's T1. That's why I'm like, we can move past the T1 drama. That's why I was like, that was in the regular season, not Worlds. Whatever.
Mm.
Is like, this will be the last thing, and I'm gonna cut you guys off so we could wrap this up. It's gonna be the last thing we talk about, and I personally want to make
Mm.
this semi controversial because this is just personal.
Mm.
Is where do you rank Chovy theoretically? Because he's already been knocked out of this world, right? Theoretically,
Mm.
if Chovy were to never win Worlds, would he be one of the greatest players to never? Would he be the greatest player to never win a Worlds title?
Yes.
Honestly, yeah. Is like you know how people like bring up Uzi in conversations like that? It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, if he ends up being forced to like retire somehow and like doesn't end up winning any world's title, Like truly he would be known as one of the giants, like uncrowned giants.
I would say he would be the best player
That's what I say.
to never
The,
win.
not one. The.
Yeah,
Would Chovy
I.
be the?
This
He
is
will be in a Hall of Legends. Like he
this
would
is
get his
my
own Hall of Legends banner.
this is
Like
just my personal opinion, not backed by any like actual stats. But I think Chovy is better than Uzi Prime. Chovy Prime is better than
mm,
Uzi Prime. That's just me.
But that,
Like this
despite the
feeling.
role difference, though, despite the role difference, you believe
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
But like here's the
yeah.
thing, the difference is Chovy still has a chance, right? And I really
Right.
don't like discussions like where it's like theoretical like oh he would have been because it's like he's still alive, you know? Like, you know, he still has the chance to break it and so we shouldn't act like he's never going to because I
Yeah.
feel like
No, I get that because
that
it's just because it's in recency that he did lose. It's not like
yeah.
where it hasn't happened, where the result is impending next week, like the KT
We'll
thing.
see him again next year.
Right.
Like, let's be so for real. We're gonna see him at Worlds next year. So I think it's just a matter of when, you know,
Mm-hmm.
probably hopefully before like he turns 30, because like when you hit 30, you have to go to national. Actually, no, he's exempt from national service, I think he's one of the few K-pop like K like LCK players who's like exempt
Yep.
from
That's
the
right. That's right.
military. So he has enough chances. He doesn't have a time limit. Chovy will live forever.
Okay, so if you
That
guys,
is my closing statement.
that's fine. That's fair. That's a fair statement. That's why I asked the question. It has, in my opinion, because I think he's such a high rated player. Is it a matter of time? Until he wins, or will he be an uncrowned king? It's it's like you have. I wouldn't say you have to be in one of those two camps because obviously I feel like I'm a neutral party as someone who doesn't follow him, nor am I like a big fan or anything. So I'm just like, oh, okay. But I know there's a lot of Chovy and LCK fans that talk about him like he's obviously.
Yeah.
So
He's
that's why I'm like,
unfortunately, yeah. It's kind of like one of those feelings where it's like it's like when it's like when you try to take a picture of your cat, right? And then like when he's like it's like like when your camera was off, right? He was really cute and you're like, "Oh, I should bring it up." But then like he wakes up and then moves and you're just like, "No, no, no, no. I swear I swear he was cute just now. Like come on. Like be cute like come on. Do that again." You know, and it's like you can't like you gotta like eventually, right? Is just like we got that angle. We'll get the angle, right? But until then, I swear he's good. Okay, give Genji a chance.
I love that comparison.
yeah. That's why I'm just like, as someone who's only heard his name on the international stage, I don't know. You gotta convince me really hard that he'd be really good on the internet, on the World's
Yeah.
Legend. That's why you have to
Yeah.
convince, as a neutral
Yeah.
party, as an NA unknowingly. You know what I mean? It's like, I gotta take your word for it, but I gotta see the results. You know what I mean? That's why I
Yeah.
bring up the question. I'm not calling him a choker. I'm just saying I need to see better. I need to see more.
Yeah,
That's all. That's the reason why I bring
that's
this up.
why.
Well, as I said,
Yeah.
like as long as he like the day that he learned to not fear his mistakes and to rely on his teammates is the day he win worlds. That's just like what I say.
God. Yeah. It's like the moment. Like I swear, Genji will come together one day. You know, but
By the way-
until then, you
By the
know,
way, I did
like
say
Genji fans have hope.
Okay.
I did say Chovy can win worlds. I didn't say he has to win worlds with Genji. So we'll see.
yeah, but I
I
didn't say
mean,
Genji. I
he's-
just specifically said Chovy. So you
Yeah.
can take that as exactly. You can take it as whatever Min wants to take it as, or whatever you want to take it as, Minnie. So, all
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna wrap it
Yeah.
up. I'm gonna wrap it up. We'll keep it there. We've gone long. We've gone long.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Well, that was good talks. Good talks. I've learned a lot, and I've got my opinions from the old guard of me, the old head of League out of my system. So with that said, if you're still watching on this channel, shout out to Min. Shout out to XCOM. Shout out to Bunny for being on here, by the way. Last final thoughts. If you have anything, you got like 30 seconds of the floor. Bunny, you first. Anything, plug.
Hashtag T1 fighting. Hashtag T1 win. Hashtag T1 please end their Amarita sponsorship. Thank you. Oh wait, hashtag BLG down. Hashtag Shanks please fire.
Oh,
Thanks. Yep. That's it.
okay, sounds good. Well, if you want to find Bunny,
why-
go find Bunny. It's Tsukino Bunny in the title. If you want to.
Wait,
So-
why did BLG get a?
Don't worry.
circle?
Hey, that's fine. You can ask after the podcast, Min. We're wrapping things up. Min, you get 30
All right,
seconds. You can either ask her a question and be answerless
All right,
or plug
I-
things.
I'm-
Go.
I will just recite the presentation, okay? So you want to be a KT fan. Rule number 1, you do not believe in KT. Rule number 2, you do not believe in KT. Rule number 3, don't use the E word. There you go. That's all I want to say.
All right. Well, thank you.
I am not excited for KT at all. Not excited.
He's not excited, guys. All right. Well, I'm glad
We're not excited. I'm not excited for. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. That's why. That's why every team we're like no you. No,
Okay.
you.
Well, at least we
No,
have
you.
both sides of the finals of World's Finals here at the table today. At the very end, and like we said, it'll be pending just like the actual matches this weekend. It's this weekend, right? So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, go watch Worlds, guys. Let's see if the T1 dynasty continues or the telecom wars will finally sway the other way. And if you want to talk about other league stuff, new or old, play games with us, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys want to check out them, their stuff is linked in the title on the thing. If you want to check me out and other stuff, I am Neon. I'm a CLG fan. Who? Exactly. Yeah, thanks guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye guys. Thanks for stopping by the
CLGs and
podcast.
stay.
Bye-bye.